it's just something that I think that people, they have a lot of pride in their city when there wasn't a lot of pride going on for a lot of things going on for a long time that I grew up in this town. I think that was an impact that's maybe not as easy just to recognize. But I mean, if you ask me, I see it. I see the pride that people have. Their kids are moving back here. They want to go do mural tours.
Hi, I'm Jeff Holden. Welcome to the Nonprofit Podcast Network. Our purpose and passion is to highlight a nonprofit organization in each weekly episode, giving that organization an opportunity to tell their story in their words to better inform and educate the respective communities they serve, as well as provide one more tool for them to share their message to constituents and donors. Our goal is to help build stronger communities through shared voices and to both encourage and support the growth of local nonprofit organizations through podcasting. Thanks to our partners for their support in getting these stories told. CapTrust, fiduciary advice for endowments and foundations, and Western Health Advantage, a full-service healthcare plan for individuals, employer groups, and families. What began as a bold idea to bring art into public spaces has grown into one of the most celebrated mural movements in the country. Imagine Sacramento not just as a city, but as a living, breathing canvas, where art has transformed neighborhoods, school campuses, sparked community conversations, and created opportunities for local and international artists to be a part of something bigger, a shared cultural experience that's both accessible and unforgettable. This isn't just about murals. It's about what happens when you give people and places a voice through color, shape, and story. It's about civic pride, economic uplift, and making sure that art belongs to everyone. It's about placemaking, equity, storytelling, and the power of public art to spark change. This colorful idea has blossomed into a citywide movement that celebrates diversity, elevates creativity, and makes art a part of everyday life. I'm speaking with David Sobon, founder and CEO of Wide Open Walls, to have him tell the story how the program changes neighborhoods, supports emerging artists, and uses public art to connect people across backgrounds and borders. We'll get the story behind the murals and the mission that drives them in such a way that these walls don't divide, but actually connect us. David Sobon, welcome to the Nonprofit Podcast Network.
Jeff, so great to see you again.
And I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to. We have a bit of history. We both crossed over at some point in time back in the day, probably 85, 6, 7, at a radio station that was FM 102. Chris and Mike in the Morning Zoo and a whole lot of craziness. And our paths have just crisscrossed all over the market for the past, I hate to say
Decades.
30 plus some years, right?
Yeah.
So it's so neat to see you doing what you're doing. Wide Open Walls. What was the genesis of it back in, 2017-ish that even got you going?
Well, I think it all has to, everything starts with my mother, literally, because she was the impetus of art in my life and art in our family.
Oh, she was the impetus of you.
That's also true. There was a dad involved there too, but she was always an art lover. I'm the oldest of a family of 6. Our vacations were spent either camping or going to museums or doing yard work, gardening, that kind of stuff. But kind of instantly fell in love with the whole art process. She always had art books laying around, an architectural digest. And, I was always sort of interested in that stuff. And I think it really came from one day they went on, I think maybe their first vacation together, and they came back with an oil painting from the ocean. And they said that it cost $150, which was like 3 weeks of grocery money, right? And I'm like, okay, so I guess this is something special, right? And then when the family started the winery, it was something that she was not really interested. The winery, something that she wasn't really interested in doing, but it was my dad's passion. She's going to support him. She had to go back to work as a nurse to make it happen. And as soon as the opportunity came that she didn't have to work full time anymore to support the wineries, she wanted to do an art gallery. And so the original winery and the second phase of the winery were basically cleaned out with new buildings being built. And she ended up bringing in an art gallery that ran for geez, almost 20 years. And
Attached
it's
as a
back up and
part
running.
of the winery?
Yeah.
So when you came to do wine tasting and that there was a gallery there for exhibit?
There was always a gallery space there.
Oh, how
And
neat.
out of high school, I think even the limited traveling that I had done, I've been to all the major museums and looking at art, the traditional stuff. I was a big fan of Impressionism. But when I was on my own and traveling around the world, it was more about, I got to go to the Tate, right? You're in London, you got to go to these different museums. And there's like, what's that stuff on the street and the alleys out there, that grungy looking cool stuff? So I kind of got a taste of what that sort of looked like, continued doing a lot of traveling. And the more traveling I went and sort of the bigger and the grungier the city, the more outdoor street art, the murals, the graffiti. And I started,
And the subways,
really starting to get into it. Yeah.
You see so much differentiation in the big cities.
Yep.
On the trains, on the subways, and just in those somewhat desolate areas where it actually is attractive because it's a whole lot better looking than a busted bunch of windows in a factory that's dilapidated.
Yeah. So that's where the real interest came. And I've lived downtown for quite a long time. Spent a little time out there in the suburbs raising kids. But when I came back downtown, just walking the dog every day, something that you'll probably ask me at some point, what do I do for fun? I'll get that out of the way. I love to hike. I love to walk. And just walking in downtown, at some point, every building, every Victorian going down the street, all the commercial buildings. I've walked every single street in the grid, and it's like, okay, let's walk the alleys. And there's alleys in Sacramento that look like rural California with orchards on them, like over near the railroad tracks. And there's alleys that had art on them, like graffiti. And I'm like, man, this town would be super cool if we could do some of that stuff they do in London and all these other different cities in Sacramento. So I was in ALF with Shelley, American Leadership Forum, right?
Yes.
And she was the arts commissioner at that point.
Okay.
So we basically asked her, can we do something like this in Sacramento? And the answer was yes. We can help you fund it. We can run it for you because you're not a nonprofit yet. And it actually started, the first alliteration of Wide Open Walls was something called the Sacramento Mural Festival. It was something that I came up with the idea. We ran it by her. She had a lot of resources and actually hired a curator out of LA to help get that project started. So we did 11 murals our first year, which doesn't seem like very many.
Well, it sounds like a lot to me.
Well, but actually there was already 300 murals in Sacramento. And I don't think anybody could tell you where they were or what they were. I mean, a very small percentage of the population could do that, but there was no attention on them. The average person had no idea there was any murals. Most of them were in downtown or in the South area.
Sure.
And what the first year did was pretty magnificent. We've got a pretty good marketing eye and, back in the radio days and working with Lizanne Hunt and promotions and all that good stuff. We were able to, and with the help, that's where it comes from too, is Patrick Harbison from PHPR.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the original board members, unofficial board members on our committee meeting, putting together the Sacramento Mural Festival. We had 44 unique television stories on 11 murals.
I was just going to say, for the first year?
The very first year of Sacramento Mural Festival. And all of a sudden, there's all this interest. It's like, oh my God. The city decided they were our sponsor for the nonprofit. So we had to become our own nonprofit. The city didn't want to do it anymore. They did it once, and it was something that didn't make any money for them. So let's be honest, it was too much work. It didn't make any money. And I figured that, I can break even and I'll do it on my own. Got a committee together. And that's basically how it started. So we went from 11 murals, and I decided that I would try to outdo that. And we did 44 murals our first year as Wide Open Walls.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, it just about killed me. And I did
in what period of time? Over what
10 days.
So all that took place at once, as like the festival, the period of time was during that quote unquote festival time. That's 4.4 a day getting completed.
Well, everybody starts literally within the same week, and it's a 10-day festival. So they're painting. Yeah. We actually, I know that we had a mural that was done before the festival. So when you have the press conference, there's something for everybody to look about and talk about. It's in front of it, and we can talk about that. But
sure,
they shot more B-roll for all the television stations, and the promotion literally lasted for months. And then all of a sudden, the Visit Sacramento was involved, and the tourist agencies and the hotels, and it became a little bit easier to raise the money that I personally lost the first year, because it wasn't a little bit.
Yeah.
I just kept going full speed ahead, and at the end did the math, and it didn't quite work out. I know why the city didn't want to do it again. But being a little bit more conservative in the second year of Wide Open Walls, I think we produced a little less than 30. I think it was 28, 29
Still
murals.
a fair amount of product to put out into the community.
Sure. And we also learned some lessons of what you should and you shouldn't spend money on and how do you have to be a little bit more conservative and a lot of partnerships in the
I was
community.
just going to say, we're going to get there in a second.
It's about the partnerships with the hotels and Visit Sacramento and all those lovely people that supported us from at the very beginning, Sacramento, the Community Regional Foundation.
Mhm.
We were able to basically sort of make up that lost income in the first year. So we've been going ever since.
So you've got an experience now in terms of what this has done, what it's done for the city, which I think some of it's certainly really obvious, coverage and the beautification elements of it. Tell me what happens transitionally in the experience of seeing this art on a wall when people see the change, because stuff happens.
Yeah. I think one of the best compliments over these last 8-9 years of doing this was a friend coming up to me and saying, my kids, they went to college and they went away and they decided they want to come back. And I go, well, tell me the reason they want to come back. Well, there's all this cool art now and all these new restaurants that are opening. It's kind of the scene and the kids want to come back. And if you've been downtown lately, it's full of kids all the time, young adults, excuse me. And it's just something that I think that people, they have a lot of pride in their city when there wasn't a lot of pride going on for a lot of things going on for a long time that I grew up in this town.
Totally
and I think
agreed.
I think that was an impact that's maybe not as easy just to recognize. But I mean, if you ask me, I see it. I see the pride that people have. Their kids are moving back here. They want to go do mural tours. And even they bring in out of town guests. What do the out of town guests want to do? Oh, you want to go on a mural tour? Oh, of course. Let's go see all the art.
Yes.
So that kind of impact is pretty neat to be a part of that.
Which also changes the perspective of those neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden the neighborhoods can take some pride in the exposure that they're getting from the art. And I think it was you that even mentioned in our prior conversation, art should be free.
Yeah.
You need people to see it.
Yeah, I think I was fortunate. I got to go to museums, right? I got to go to art galleries, but everybody's not in that same position. So I think our tagline for quite a while was art for all.
Mm-hmm.
There's really no reason that everybody shouldn't be able to be exposed to this beauty and the creativity and the messaging. I mean,
Yes.
A lot of the murals have messages in them. You look at the Johnny Cash mural that's on the 18 stories of the Marriott on the Capitol, the Shepherd Ferry piece of Johnny Cash. It's not necessarily just about the musician. I mean, it's about prisoners' rights.
Right.
Right. And you have to look at that mural to kind of take a look and see that's what it is. And it's not just Johnny Cash at Folsom Prison. So,
and it's clearly on there if you look for it.
Oh my goodness, yes.
It's definitely there. But if you do just drive by, oh, that's a cool Johnny Cash poster or a cool Johnny Cash mural.
There was quite a conversation had. The ownership of the hotel approved the design, the exact same design. It was approved. The stencils were made of the exact design. And then Shepherd Ferry, after he's finished, he's having a conversation on the news and the owner's going, what's this? Nobody told us about this. What's going on? He goes, and Shelley, who basically has been the general manager ever since, and he said, our numbers are going up. People are going to want to stay at the Johnny Cash Hotel. And it's been true ever since.
Yeah.
So, it was worth a little teeny bit of
hotel.
Yeah, a little bit of controversy. And the same thing on the opposite side of the hotel that's facing the convention center is a piece by Howell Nazem, and it's all about Mother Earth and big oil.
Mm-hmm.
The same mural.
Just a little statement.
Just a little bit.
Just a little statement.
Just about a little bit. So, I mean, that's one of the fun things about art. It can be just beautiful, but it also can be very important. It's something that we can turn around in a minute. So when Lady Bird got nominated for the Oscar, I called Maren Conrad. What does your schedule look like? Well, I'm booked. This goes, yeah, but the Oscars are tomorrow. And we need to do a Lady Bird mural. Can you come up with the design? And I know that I can get Steve Hansen and Mike Testa. We'll get a couple $1,000 together. I'll get the paint. We'll get you the equipment. She goes, okay. And then the next day it's raining. She goes, it's raining. I go, you can paint in the rain, right?
It's oil-based.
Well, not really. But anyway, they ended up being about 75% finished with that mural. And unfortunately, Greta didn't come. And there was an unfortunate thing that happened in the United States. And Sacramento was kind of affected by the Stephen Clark thing.
Right.
And it wasn't possible for her to come to visit the mural at that time. But we were able to do something in literally 48 hours.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Do something. What is do something? I'm thinking just the logistics of one mural because you've got the paint and the equipment and scaffolding and artist and design and timing to get it all done.
Yeah.
You're talking about multiple of these in multiple places and different spaces. So who's doing all this work to make it come together and coordinate it and sequence it properly so that everybody has what they need when they need it?
Well, we've made every mistake possible because I've been in charge, but hopefully I haven't made the same mistake twice. I mean, we've ordered equipment, the wrong equipment, and it's all of a sudden, okay, now you need somebody from the equipment company to come and tell me what piece of equipment, because I've guessed wrong too many times.
Yes.
The scaffolding can't go on here because of the angle of the wall. It can't be attached right here. So I've got a partnership, Skyline Scaffolding. I couldn't do this without them. So it's a matter of a lot of different, and paint partnerships. We've had everybody from Behr to Home Depot to Vision's Quality Coating, which is a recycling paint company. I need paint. I give them an order. They bring me bucket paint, and it's fantastic. So those kind of things. But as far as the logistics, I've had help for artist relations before, which is when all the artists come to town, there's somebody that's got to be in charge. And that's usually a local artist because they know what the other artists want to do. They need time off. They need to paint. They want to party. They want to get together. They want to eat meals. They come and work for sometimes a fraction of what they would normally get paid on a commercial job for the camaraderie, for the exposure. I mean, at this point, I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say I have probably 200 artists from around the world that want to come paint
sitting
in Sacramento.
The queue just to say, I want to do this.
Right.
Sure.
Every time I go to Florida or Miami or a different festival, or even in Scotland last year or London, artists want to be part of it. They know what Wide Open Walls has done on the East Coast. So as far as the logistics goes, yeah, I mean, it was a lot of trial and error. I think we have the system down pretty well right now. We know who to call for paint and who the experts are to do all the stuff. That truck of mine has got almost 200,000 miles of driving supplies around. I'm telling you.
Yeah, just a 30 square mile radius, right?
Exactly.
And what's so cool, David, that I really, really appreciate, and I think is back to the statement you made about the kids, meaning the young adults wanting to come back to the city. We see a lot of them. They go to school somewhere else and they do come back. And they're recognizing that the Sacramento market is finally starting to get some stride. And, we've got the development of the rail yards and the downtown waterfront. Things are changing. And you've got Wide Open Walls, which is a spectacular statement because it's so visibly obvious. You can't hide from it.
Yeah.
And then we have the restaurant. We have Terra Madre coming. I mean, these are big deals for the city that really make a statement. And so we've got this food, we've got this art, we've got the Crocker. We have the genesis, I think, of something really beautiful happening finally that we've all been waiting to see.
It's all gelling at the same time, isn't it?
Isn't it? And
all the right people, the right place at the right time.
Exactly. It's great purveyors who get it, who have finally seen the fruits of their labor. So
Can I slip in a surprise for you about Terra Madre that you mentioned, the international slow food event that's coming to town?
Yep.
We've been working with Jerome over at the Sheraton and with the families of four legends of hospitality we're going to honor. We're doing a big mural on the back of the Sheraton, which is basically the focal point. It's at the entrance of the convention center, which is going to be the focal point for Terra Madre. And we're honoring four legends with black and white portraits. The four legends of hospitality, three of them have passed, and you'll know the names.
I could probably come up with a couple of them myself.
And they're all going to be the same names. It's Biba Caggione.
Yes.
It's Lena Fat. And it's Randy Perigari.
Right.
Yeah. Everybody comes up with those exact same names.
Yep.
And Daryl gave us permission last week to have him on the wall. So there will be the living legend that's on there. And this is 4 murals of a 200-foot plus long wall.
Wow.
And we'll have room to probably do 7 to 10 more in the future. So those are
kind
the
of
current
like
legends.
Our Mount Rushmore of recognition in Sacramento.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
We did a legends wall at 12th and R on the back of a Twisted Track Gallery 2 years ago, an artist from North Carolina, currently in LA by the name of Jex. And Brian did this project all black and white. Portraits that are 95% accurate to the actual photograph. He uses 13 different shades of gray to paint a black and white portrait. And we honored LeVar Burton, was the only living legend from Sacramento, Russ Solomon,
Sure.
Tower Records, Joan Didion,
Sure.
and the artist Wayne Thiebaud.
Wonderful.
So there's 15-foot portraits right there in 12th and R if you haven't seen those things. So we're going to do the same kind of style with the legends of hospitality.
Fantastic.
And then we got Legends of Art.
Yeah, you
We're
can
going to
keep.
fill it up full of portraits. And one of the cool things also about this Sierra Madre location, it's on Jazz Alley. And there's already 22 murals on Jazz Alley. And one is Danny Sandoval, a saxophone player from Sacramento who plays at the Torch Club and all around town. And Phil Cerna helped us with that little project. And we'll brand Jazz Alley in a number of different places. And hopefully at some point, K Street will be absolutely beautiful and gorgeous enough that everybody's going to walk down from Doco, from the convention center, and go up K Street, looking at all the cool shops and the coffee shops and the restaurants, and then walk down Jazz Alley and look at all the art.
And maybe there'll even be some semblance of what used to be our jazz festival, only in a contemporary way that we all would have loved to have seen that continue.
That's a 10-year project for me.
Yeah.
I started a few years ago. It's got a long ways to go, but it's going to happen.
I agree.
It's going to happen.
I totally agree. So I have a wall.
Uh-huh.
I have a building. How do I get my wall and building to be one of those that is recognized for a mural?
Write me a big fat check. No. It's a really good question because a lot of people think they sort of have the right building. So the right building can be a couple of different things. I mean, if I could just paint 10-story buildings that all face the freeway, that everybody that's coming past town would go out there, that's pretty impressive. Millions and millions of people would see those walls. But there's also sort of a scavenger hunt idea behind where the murals are pasted. I mean, you can walk down Jazz Alley and you can see 22.
And for Jazz Alley, give us the actual location so everybody knows.
Between J and K Street.
Got it.
Right. So, but you can also go between I and J Street on Improv Alley and see another 20 murals. So there's little pockets, that are around Sacramento that have, individual little projects that are going on. So in all total, we've created over 200 murals downtown.
Which is incredible. I was on the website scanning. I think, my goodness, I've seen 10% of them.
We need to go for a tour.
We absolutely do.
Let's go do it.
We absolutely do. So what does one do? How do they, is it an application process of sorts?
Oh, it'd be helpful if I answered your question.
Yes.
Yeah, you got me back in for my tangent. There you go. There is at least a telephone call. Usually what will happen, or they'll contact the website if they've got a wall that needs to be used. And then if it's a viable wall, and usually that means something that's fairly visible and fairly big. We've done some small projects, but a small project is really like a 15 by 20 wall. That's a small one. When we've done 18,000 square feet murals, that's a very small project when you're looking at, 400 or 500 square feet.
Right.
But it's still a viable project, right? It's still something that can be added to the portfolio, that can be added to the map. There's always got to be a cash commitment. There's very few walls that we have painted that we have been able to finance on our own. Right. I spent a lot of time trying to raise money for this, for this festival. So at this point, if somebody wants a mural on their wall, if it's just an absolutely fantastic A1 plus wall that I've been dreaming about for the last 10 years, then we'll paint it, but we still need to get paid to do it. So the artist needs to get paid. We started when our consultant was hired in that first year of the Sacramento Mural Festival. He said, "You don't need to pay the artists." And I said, "You're nuts. My friends are artists. They got to be paid." Right. And we were one of the first festivals in the country to come up with a paid stipend, all your travel, all your food, your hotel, airfare if necessary, and your paint and your equipment and your supplies and anything that you need to get your project done. Because they could be painting in that first year for $2,500 when they can get a commercial job that'd be $25,000, right? For maybe even the same size project. When Shepard Ferry did his wall, the 18-story Johnny Cash, he didn't expect to get paid. He was just, "You got me the location and you got me the best wall in Sacramento. We'll just paint it." And when the check came through, it was like, oh, that's cool. We'll pay my boys, right? That came and assisted on it. But it's also a wall that cost over $50,000 to produce way back when. The scaffolding, the lifts, the
paint, the material.
And we had to pay a company to come in and basically do all the prep work. I mean, there's a huge design in the background that was pre-painted, and then it had to be sealed afterwards. So it was a pretty expensive project. But yeah, we're constantly raising money and looking for walls.
This colorful conversation continues right after these messages from the people who make the program possible.
Hello, this is Scott Thomas with Cap Trust in our Sacramento office. I specialize in working with local nonprofits and associations. Annually, we survey private and public nonprofit organizations across the country to better understand challenges they see in today's environment. In our more recent survey, we heard concerns about proper board governance, mission-aligned investment, and how to implement alternative investments. If you would like a copy of the survey or to discuss your organization, look me up, Scott Thomas at captrust.com.
I'm thrilled to have Western Health Advantage partnering with us as they do so much to support so many nonprofit agencies in our community. As a truly local health plan, you'll find individual and family options, employer options, plans for CalPERS and Medicare Advantage. From medical services to pharmacy, health and wellness support, as well as behavioral health care, Western Health Advantage has a plan that fits what you need. As an employer, for profit or nonprofit business, individual or family, you can find more at westernhealth.com. So we talked about walls. How about artists? How do you curate the artists? Where do they come from? Why all over the country, all over the world? I'm not quite sure the range of artists that have shown up here to paint murals.
Well, the focus has always been when we started this conversation about the amount of murals that were already existed before Wide Open Walls, before Sacramento Mural Festival there was 300 artists, right? And maybe 10 or 20 of those were from outside of the area. It could have been more. I didn't actually keep track, but it was mostly a little local project and small walls, and it got very, very little attention. So the goal from the very beginning was, how do we get the world to see what we're doing in Sacramento? That's one of the first things on the vision board when we started this adventure, right? One, we got to have a marketing machine behind us, and we got to be able to tell our story. And that was pretty easy to do when we brought in world-class artists. I've gotten flack for not hiring a local artist, but if you look at the website and you count, we have been the most diverse mural festival in the country, and we have more than half of the artists are artists of color or women that have basically just occupied the space that we've done. But the local artists, my part of that goal and part of that is vision, they need exposure around the world. Mm-hmm. They need to be able to go out there and paint in Spain and London and in Scotland and Dubai, wherever.
And the right artist is going to grasp the concept of, I'm from Sacramento, Wide Open Walls. You might be familiar with it. Yeah. I recognize it. Here's maybe I helped, or maybe I was aware of, but then they can now take their craft, even if they haven't been part of your program, to say, I'm familiar. Let me try something here in your area or your city, your community.
It's pretty cool. I think one of the two things I'm probably most proud of is the amount of local artists that had never painted a mural before in their life.
I can appreciate that.
And a very large, we're talking over 30 artists, local artists that had never painted a mural before.
Yeah.
And I would say at least 20 of them are making a living doing it. I mean, Marin Conrad, Rafael Delgado, they've never painted a mural before, and they came and they did it. And the encouragement and the support they got from their sponsors and their family and their friends, and they're off and rolling, right? And there's quite a few. So I think that's something they'll always go back to, the idea that, giving them their first shot. So.
And if Wayne wasn't so old at the time, we would have had him up on a scaffold for sure, getting something done.
We always want to honor him, and Gregory Kondos. I got to do a Gregory Kondos mural. We've been talking about money to that. We just got to get him on a wall too.
Yes. Yeah. What about some of the other projects that you've got? I know that you've done some things on school campuses, and there's a dynamic there that is literally visceral.
It's the best.
Tell us about that.
It's the best.
Tell us about
2 years ago, we changed our mission statement from art for all to wow us, wide open walls, uplifting schools. And at this point, we have created over 200 murals on 10 different campuses in Sacramento. It's been just the greatest experience. I can't afford to pay the big wall prices, but artists will just come in. I mean, artists from all over the world. Are you doing a festival this year? I don't have any big walls, but we're going to paint a bunch of schools. Okay. Mm-hmm. How many schools do I need to paint? Are you going to cover my supplies and my accommodations? Absolutely. Come in and paint walls for us at schools. The process with that is a little bit different, right? We're giving many artists their first shot. We did a vendor market. There was a vendor market that we were doing at Rosa Parks Elementary School. And there was an artist, Art by Bray, and she had little canvas bags and designs that were on there. And she's just a beautiful young lady. We had a conversation where he goes, have you ever painted a mural? He goes, no, I've always wanted to. He goes, I have a wall for you. She goes, like for this weekend, for like now? And I go, yeah, what do you need? And we gave her a wall. We were out of budget, but I got her paint. I gave her a wall, and she basically painted a really very, very cool design, something similar that she was doing in her bags. And the happiest moment is like, I'm calling her next year. I got your first paying gig for a mural. And it's just that stuff just kind of makes it happen. But the whole school thing is a little bit different because there's a lot of impact from the teachers and the principal and the kids. For every school that we've done a project that has involved almost all the students. At the elementary schools, they're doing handprints or they're doing drawings. At Hiram Johnson High School, we had 8 out of our 34 walls. 8 were painted by students and 3 were painted by teachers or teachers with a group of students. So we went in there and talked. We came up with artists to mentor the students. And there's nothing like go to see Shane Grammer's wall at Hiram Johnson and photos of 25 kids just having a blast with paint, just splashing paint all over and following instruction and filling the lines and Shane just laughing away. And they're just having so much fun. And there's so much pride involved when the kids get involved. And it really is. And that's just the best.
And every time they walk on campus, they see that. I was a part of that.
And those campuses aren't getting painted for 25 more years. Those murals are going to be up there for a long time.
Yeah, those will be generational murals.
Oh, absolutely.
Isn't that family cool? After family. That was Grandpa's mural.
Well, you know what? And what's interesting about that? So we've basically gone back to a few of the schools because they've asked for help for mentoring. So, like, what's the first school we did is on Lemon Hill. I'm drawing a blank on the name. And we went in and we did 15 murals, but there's 10 more murals that have been painted since. Same with Tahoe Elementary. That was the first one we did. We did 22 murals out there, and I think there's over 30 now because it just inspired other artists to go, oh, can we paint there? Can we do this? Can you find a wall? Yeah. And the last time I visited, I was totally surprised. There's like 5 new really cool murals that are there, and some of them being done by students. That school has a special part in my heart. My granddaughter was 8 years old, an incredible artist for an 8-year-old. And I asked her if she wanted to be a paid muralist for a mural festival. And she actually painted a toad on the principal's hallway for his office. And it's still there today. And it's brilliant.
Isn't that awesome? Question for you with regard to collaboration with other organizations, other nonprofits. Who, how, what does that look like? Because I know you do.
Yeah.
Who might they be?
It's a little bit different, for what we do. So a lot of the requests, I was a professional auctioneer for 30 years.
I do remember.
I sold the company and then I got the company back this year. So I'm kind of excited about going out there and doing auctioning for nonprofits. Freddie's killing it right now, by the way. He's just doing a great job. But
he is awesome.
Freddie's got some competition because I'm back. A lot of it has been with the organizations that I've worked for before. Hope Cooperative. I donated a huge piece of David Garibaldi that I got stuck mine because nobody else was bidding and I bid against myself. So I donated to them. But we've also done murals for them, right? And St. John's, we've done donations for them in the Heart Association of, I'll conduct a mural tour. I'll get an artist to create a piece of canvas. You're going to go on a tour. You're going to drink. You're going to eat. You're going to have fun. And you're going to get a piece of canvas when you're done. These nonprofits have raised over $10,000. So just by being creative and knowing a lot about the nonprofit world, I've reached out to nonprofits, or they've reached out to me.
Sure.
To see, can you donate something for the auction?
Yep.
For our live auction. So those kind of collaborations and those kind of projects, we have from DDSO. DDSO stands for the Developmental Disabled something. Anyway, we've hired artists from a lot of these different groups, some from homeless artists to paint during the festivals before. And some of those creations have just been absolutely brilliant. So it's a little bit different, in our organization.
It's a circuitous way to get there.
Yeah, but exactly.
But a very supportive way because it's literal in terms of the result that they see because it comes back in cash.
Right. Well, and there's another opportunity. So we did a mural once for a nonprofit.
You're going to wish you didn't say this because we're having this conversation. You're probably going to get hit by about.
It's okay. More love, the better, right?
That's right.
I'll always find out.
Busy
people always find time to do more stuff.
That's right.
We just do. But we offered an opportunity. We came up with a very reasonable price for the cost for the nonprofit to basically pay to have an artist come and paint a wall. And they did a fundraising campaign and they ended up $15,000 ahead because they raised more than the cost of the mural. And they
Outstanding.
knew they were doing it. It was just a way to basically do a fundraiser without doing a fundraiser.
Yeah.
So we've done that a couple times. And every time they've raised a lot more money than they anticipated. So that's been kind of a fun way to support the nonprofit community.
Great segue too. Funding for the organization. How does it work? Who do you go to? How do you get this stuff underwritten? Yeah,
those are my hands on my head exploding that you guys can't see.
Yes, yeah, for the audio only.
Yeah, that's the challenging part. It's been different every single year. We got a lot of support from the city and Visit Sacramento in the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were in their eyes successful, right? So they don't need to support again. Visit Sacramento is the exception. They've always done. But we haven't really received any other support from the city or the Arts Commission ever since then. So they're really kind of focused on new opportunities and new organizations, and they've done their own mural festival.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of those sources are not in that same position. And in the nonprofit world, I mean, I think probably our best year, we raised over $600,000, and during COVID, it was closer to 100 and maybe even less than a year.
Sure.
A year after that. So it takes a while to be able to pay the CEO. It took 4 years to get my first paycheck, and then it kind of dried up again.
Yeah.
So it's just part of it. It's part of the passion, the part of the love you got to do. The new projects, the one doing the legends, there's this kind of a separate fundraising component of what that looks like to support different walls that we're doing there.
And I would imagine you have corporate support from some places that
of course
have interest. And I don't want to put anybody in a box, but the UC Davises and the
Let's put them all in a box right now.
And
you
the
and me, we're going to list them all out right now.
Let me keep going. The people that really engage in our community to support it. But yes, and some of the banks, hey, this is a beautification act. It's community reinvestment.
And two of our longest supporters, other than some that I've mentioned that are doing equipment, things like that, have been Dignity Health. Dignity Health and UC Davis Health. We've done many murals at both of their campuses. We're finishing one this week, a 200-foot-long wall on V Street at the UC Davis Health Center. That will be the street that you're going to drive down. And next year, we are creating one of the, if not the largest mural west of the Mississippi here in Sacramento. So you're going to drive down V Street. You're going to see a 200-foot-long redwood forest. And then about another half block, you're going to look up and you're going to see a 50,000 square feet masterpiece painted on the city's water receptacle, the big water tower that's out there.
Very cool.
So you know the one that's on Alhambra.
Exactly.
Everybody knows that one
exactly what you're
with the arts on there. This one's twice as big. So it's 100 feet tall and 500 feet long. So we have an artist coming from out of town, and he will hire a big crew of local artists to basically support his design. So we went through going through the neighborhood associations and the different representatives to make sure that the design is approved, and we finally will have our method of understanding from the city hopefully next month and vote to go, and we'll be ready to rock and roll next year.
No, that's just awesome. Yeah. And what a great spot to do it.
Oh my goodness.
What a wonderful spot. So much attention, focus.
You can see it from space.
Yeah, right.
It's a big mural.
I love it. Wide open walls, great wall of.
The great wall.
Right?
Yes, exactly.
So we have a situation. Somebody says, I love what you're doing, David. We got a blank check for you.
God, I love you, Jeff.
You give me a good enough reason to give it to you. What would it look like? What would you do with the organization if somebody said, here, do it?
I love that question. I mean, there's so many things that come to mind. I'll share a project that we did, and it's not the number one reason. It's probably number 2 or 3 on the list, but we've had some pretty good years with fundraising where there's been, there's money that we didn't spend producing the festival. Sometimes it goes for deposits for next year and paying insurance and all that other stuff that you have to do when you have a nonprofit.
Right.
But we've basically, on a couple occasions, the biggest sort of art festival in the country is in Miami. It's called Art Basel, and Wynwood Walls happens at the same time, and there's a community out there. And they started a project that the Wow Us literally came from. There's a couple different projects in Miami where they basically have artists, they come and they volunteer and they find money for their paint and their equipment, and they paint schools. It's done on a very limited basis, but they've been doing it for a long time. So in talking to both those organizers, we got to do it in Sacramento. I've had both those organizers come out and see what we're doing. We've learned from each other doing that. And in the last couple of years, I've taken artists from Sacramento to go paint some of the biggest walls in Miami. And Wide Open Walls, my other company, Evoke Arts, that does commercial murals, is the one that sponsored it last year. And we brought artists, one from Sacramento and two from Sacramento and one from San Francisco, all great talented artists. And none of them had painted a 80-foot tall wall before. And they wanted to do it for their portfolio. He goes, all right, well, I'll get you paint. I'll get your equipment. You can come and I'll get a condo. We'll all hang out together and we'll fly out there. And they painted.
Yeah.
And being able to bring artists that have worked with our organization and give them those opportunities like that would be something that I'd love to do. I would love to do a lot more of it. But I think if it came right down to it, I think the vast majority would have to do with kids and schools. The Sacramento City Unified School District, they sponsored the first year of those first 6 schools with the $250,000. It cost money to basically put that many murals on walls at schools.
Mm-hmm.
It just does. They had a change in leadership there and decided not to continue that. So all the other schools that we've done since then have been, part of our fundraising and our campaign. But I would love the opportunity to go paint schools and pay artists a really fair wage to come out there and do it. It's just not going to be all, young artists or artists that hadn't painted murals before. We always like to give them a chance. But I think expanding this program from not just schools in the Sacramento area, there's so many other school districts that could use it. I get phone calls all the time. How'd you do this? How'd you do this? What'd you do? How'd you make it happen? And it takes money to do it.
Mm-hmm.
If there was a blank check, I don't know if I'd have time for vacation. I literally would be just setting up schools and hiring artists from all over the world to come paint and give these kids an opportunity, something to be proud of.
Yeah.
Let's go find that blank check, dude. Come on.
So take a step backwards now. We're out of the blank check space. We're into reality. What is the greatest need? What do you see that is the best opportunity to continue to do what you're doing with these walls? What is that?
I think it's to expand the footprint. I mean, I've done 200 walls in downtown and midtown Sacramento. There's another 20, almost 50 in other outlying areas. We've painted in Roseville. We painted in Rockland. We have painted in West Sacramento, but there's so many other, communities in need that see what we're doing. Our next big event, every September and every May, we've kind of expanded from once a year to twice a year. Maybe not festivals that are quite as big in scope as having 44 artists at one time, but doing it twice a year gives a little bit more flexibility. So every May and every September, we'll be doing a version of Wide Open Walls. But Elk Grove is next on the calendar. We are going through a process right now where we should be able to paint, hopefully, for the next 5 years and make that community. They've done a good job with public funds for statues and big public mural or public projects, but really no significant murals whatsoever. So going into a community like that, I mean, it's one of the fastest growing communities. There's a lot going on.
Our most diverse communities, too. I can only imagine what those murals could look like.
It's going to be brilliant. I mean, we're going to paint. There'll be some difficulty painting in the historic district about sort of the approvals and the colors that get to be used. But we have that experience. We know what we're doing there. And we're in for some surprises even before that next mural festival in Elk Grove that are just around the corner. So kind of looking for that. So expanding the footprint. It doesn't mean I'm going to stop painting in downtown or in the midtown area. If those opportunities arise, there have been people that have been wanting to have a wall painted for the last 5 years and just haven't come around to the design or the money yet, right?
Sure.
And we're always checking in with those folks and, giving them another opportunity. But the other thing, it's just not about us. It's just not about Wide Open Walls. I think one thing that we have done is given the artists, whether it's their first mural, their 10th mural, they're out there hustling.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing new murals go up all the time. And it just makes me, first, I missed that wall. But they didn't. They're out there hustling. They know they can do it. They're super, super talented. And with a little bit of, salesmanship and, showing their portfolio, they're out there, they're getting their own walls. So even though we've created, a good probably 450 plus at this point, there has been in the last 8 years as many walls created from just artists out there hustling.
Which is great to see because that came from their experience and their confidence and their exposure of either practicing with or hanging out with somebody who was of notoriety doing a wall and or now doing their own. Yeah, that's wonderful because more is more.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, it's better. It's it's what it produces for those neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And that's so significant.
So expanding that footprint is something that really has me excited. I mean, I've gotten phone calls. We're going to hopefully do a mural in Plymouth this year, right? In Plymouth, up in Amador County at Sutter Creek, and up in Auburn, and all these different small communities.
And I can see what those might look like already.
Oh, no!
And some of those communities we think are so staid and traditional, they really have a progressive element to them that could be so cool.
They don't all want historical stuff,
Agreed.
which really is, that makes me smile. I'm happy to do a historical mural every once in a while. I got the culture. We've got all that. It's happening. But let's just paint an ice cream cone on a wall that's pink, right? Come on. Let's just do art for art's sake.
Yeah.
So
what does David do for fun? What's your passion outside of the art itself? I mean, when you're unwinding just out of the realm of wide open walls.
I love to hike. I am just so in. I just got back from a vacation and I did 60 miles in Kauai last week.
Oh, wow.
Just golfing and hiking. And I live in the Rancho Marietta community, and I've spent a lot of time building trails. So there's already a community of about 23 miles of trails, and now it's 23 and a half, and it'll be 24 soon. So get out there with a pickaxe and a trail hoe, and move rocks around and build trails is something that I definitely really enjoy doing.
To kill those damn rattlesnakes out there too, because they are everywhere.
Ooh.
Right.
Yeah, you gotta keep that open.
That's neat.
And just to continue, I think for fun, it's traveling. I've been very, very fortunate to make travel a priority in my life, and all of the travel, if it's not golf related at this point, it's art related. So visiting other communities and visiting other artists. I mean, there's nothing like going to Scotland and seeing your very favorite mural in the entire world, and then calling the studio and making an appointment with Smug. And he's like, "Oh, Wide Open Walls, come in. Let's take a look at the studio." I'm like, "Oh my God, there's nothing better."
Isn't that great?
So it's just the best. So, this is somebody that's on that list that wants to come to Sacramento and paint. Just got to find the right wall for him. So
how does one find out more, learn about the organization, see what you've got going? What's the best way to do that?
The website is probably the best. If you want to look at just the new art and what's going on every single week, not as much information, but lots of photos and lots of information, that'd be Instagram. That we post on a regular basis. You're looking at the stories; they change all the time. It's at Wide Open Walls.
Okay.
You'll find it right there. It's pretty easy. There's also a YouTube channel that probably has hundreds and hundreds of videos, but the website wideopenwalls.com is the best.
Okay.
If you want to take a tour, we don't do tours. We've had other organizations with our permission and in our education go out there and do tours. Like there's a food group in Fleet Feet. There are a couple of other organizations that do mural tours. And
I saw you do have a tour route on the website.
Well, that's the whole point. The website literally it's the best mural website out there. They put a lot of time and a lot of energy in making it something special. But you can go and pick a mural tour, a route by artists, by location, by neighborhood. You plug it all in, and you can print out a map, and you can follow it on your phone. Everything's on your mobile application. So you can go do a mural tour and walk around for an hour just around our street. You can walk around an hour just in Midtown. You can walk just J Street and see in between J Street and Jazz Alley and Improv Valley, see 30 murals. So
fantastic.
From old Sacramento all the way down. So
well, we'll put each of those in the show notes so that somebody doesn't have to worry about where to find it. They'll be there. They can just look, and it'll be a quick click.
You know what else is on that website? An opportunity connect and let us know that you want to volunteer, that you want to donate, that you want to be part of this great vision that we have, great part of the community, and support art. So that's always very helpful too.
Well, David, art's absolute. We know from both research and practice, the art and color design can make a literal, visceral difference in a space where they are applied. You are changing our neighborhoods, our cities, our schools, and our community for the better with Wide Open Walls. And thank you for that. Thank you for bringing color to our city in a whole different way.
I've really enjoyed our interview. It's so great to be together, and you're welcome. Is probably the appropriate thing, but I am blessed just to be able to go out there and do it every day. Ups and downs, just keep on pushing forward, and keep on bringing in art for all and uplifting schools.
Well, the energy's contagious.
It is.
So thank you. Thank you for listening to the Nonprofit Podcast Network. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If what you heard moved you, please reach out to that organization and do what you can to help. If you like and appreciate what we're doing to support local nonprofits, please give us a positive review, subscribe, and share. If you're a nonprofit with an interest in participating in an episode, you can reach me at jeff@hearmenowstudio.com. Once again, we're grateful for the businesses who have made this program possible. CapTrust, fiduciary advice for endowments and foundations. You can find them in Sacramento, Roseville, and Folsom, captrust.com. And Western Health Advantage, a full-service healthcare plan for individuals, employer groups, and families, westernhealth.com.